Hey, what's up? I'm Jay Moss, and today I want to talk to you once again about Access Analog and how it recently totally saved my butt when I was on a trip to Portland, Oregon last week. So I got a call from my people, I guess, and they said, hey, there's an opportunity. It's going to involve you getting on a plane like ASAP, and it's totally worth it. And I can't say what it was, but let's just say it was a big enough deal for me to get on a plane, just immediately fly out and go do this thing. Ironically, when I got there, there was a coronavirus outbreak, and everything that I was supposed to do got totally shut down. So I was left with this day, and I was like, well, I don't fly out until like tomorrow or whatever it is. What am I going to do? So I brought my laptop, that like busted, broken laptop I just showed you. And I was like, all right, well, I guess I'm just going to work on mixes all day. But obviously, right, like I've just got my laptop, I've got some plugins, and I can get a long way there. But I was working on something and I was like, dude, I could totally finish this or come very, very close to finishing this if I had access to my gear. And while I didn't have access to my gear, I might as well have, because I was in a little coffee shop sitting there leveraging the power of like all of this tube harmonic distortion stuff that I really wanted to use on this mix. And it was blowing my mind. Like I was just sitting there having a cappuccino, people are walking by, hipsters, what have you. And I was like, this is crazy. Like I'm literally turning knobs that are being turned in Colorado from this coffee shop in Oregon, which isn't even where I live, working on a mix and printing things, and the band's super happy. It came out super awesome. I'm going to kind of show you what I did, and while I'm going to show you the benefits of the gear we're going to use, how I like to use it, there'll be a lot of value in that. I'm also going to show you a couple pitfalls that you might want to avoid and how to print this stuff back into your session so you can keep it, and just kind of my workflow when it comes to this stuff. So having said that, let's glue this mix. All right, so here's my mix. This is for a band called Pushed Out. As you can see, I have the Access Analog Matrix plugin up here. I went with a chain this time. I went with a Varimu, one of my favorites, and then classic SSL G-Comp. So what I want to do is I'm going to take this mix all the way down to 0. So effectively, we are not hearing this stuff. I'm going to play the mix for you, and then it sounds good. Like it's good on its own. And then we're going to talk about like what I want to achieve, and then let's achieve it using this gear.
On the floor, showing me the blood-stained brain. Is on the side.
Okay, so that sounds pretty good on its own. It's pretty close to finished. A little bit of a different style, this band. This band's like super heavy. I'm kind of into it. I've been working on like more indie projects and melodic projects, so it's nice to change it up once in a while. So I actually really like a lot of things about this mix that we put together. But upon listening back, you know, as I'm getting closer to the finished product, I was like, well, what can I do here to make this sound a little bit more finished, a little bit more pro? And one thing that I think I'm kind of missing from a lot of modern heavy mixes is I miss like just the smushiness a little bit. I miss like the exciting high-end stuff that happens when you throw stuff through tubes. I miss like the distortion, but like the musical style distortion. So basically I want to make this sound a little less sterile. I want to tuck the snare like into the mix a little bit more because it's definitely poking out a lot right now. And then in general, I just want to make it kind of like push and crunch, give it some life and like give it some excitement, and hopefully it won't sound like quite as like in the box, because it won't be, literally won't be in the box. Okay, so I've got a Manly Varimu here and the G-Comp there. We're going to turn the G-Comp down here, and then we're going to check out this Varimu. I'll show you how I'm using this. This is 100% up, so we're hearing through just the Varimu now, not hearing through the G-Comp yet. And if you wanted to, you could rearrange these, which is a really crazy neat thing because, you know, this isn't just rearranging plugins. This is rerouting the I/O somewhere else in its real outboard gear. Like, remember when you're using this, these are just pictures, and you're actually turning real knobs. It's sick. These are the settings I landed on after a little messing around. I like these tube compressor Varimu units the best when we're not using like a super fast attack or anything. I think medium attack and release totally makes sense here. I'm gonna adjust the output trims a little bit here just to make sure that it's coming back balanced. And let's hear it.
On the floor, showing me the blood-stained blade. Is on the same as the light that guides the way. Believe what you need lives within your skin to cover up.
Okay, if you have to rewind to listen to that again, please do. But did you hear how like the highs came alive in a really nice way? The Very compressor is so awesome because it's bright in a good way, and it's very, very easy to be bright in a bad way, particularly when you're in the box. So this is a total pro for analog gear, is they have a tendency to be able to push frequencies further without getting like as annoying. The other thing it did that I really like is it made the snare sound kind of more like, for lack of a better sound effect, but it's cool because it just sounds more in the mix. It sounds more like with the drums. It's still like totally loud and totally impactful, but it just feels like in there, and I love that. Why don't we move on now to the SSL, and we'll glue this thing together a little bit more with like a little bit more what you would consider standard stereo bus style compression. Okay, since I was already liking the way the Very was sounding, you know, when I went for my settings here on the SSL, I didn't go with a super fast attack here again, because I do want the snare to be compressed, but I want the transient of the snare to be able to poke through the mix a little bit. So I find that this is a great setting for that. Release settings, I put on auto. I find that's great for bus work in particular. And then I just dialed my threshold around a little bit until I found a dB level that I want. Okay, we're gonna move on to a different passage of the song here, a very heavy passage. We're gonna do the same thing that we did with the Very, which is listen to this with it on. We'll turn it all the way off so you can hear it without, and then we'll turn it back on again, and you'll be able to hear those things combined.
But you consider yourself fool.
Okay, that is heavy as all hell. All right, let's turn this off and hear it again.
But you consider yourself fool.
Okay, do you hear how like things aren't gluing together in the same way? Things feel, in my opinion, too separated. Let's bring this back, and then one more time we'll listen to all that again.
But you consider yourself fool.
Okay, so now that we've made it sound like super like squishy and awesome and exciting, how do we now print the output of that so we can keep it for offline use later whenever we want? It's really, really easy. There's just a button at the bottom of the plugin, and I'll show you how to do that now. These two songs that I'm working on combined are just over 5 minutes. So let's put our marker on 0. We're going to hit the arm button, and it's gonna wait for playback. We're gonna hit the space bar, and now this is gonna capture it all. The next step might be my favorite. Set a timer for 5 minutes.
Your timer is set for 5 minutes.
Thanks.
There will be beauty in my death. Will you live afraid of the unknown? There will be beauty.
Okay, and so when you're done capturing all of your audio, you just hit spacebar again. You'll see your audio as a little picture down at the bottom there, and then it's going to start uploading to the servers. After it's finished uploading, it will process, and you will be able to save that file anywhere you want on your hard drive. Then I recommend re-importing it back in your session. And just really quickly, if I have like one little piece of advice, after you re-import it, it can be kind of annoying to do perfect stereo balance from, you know, analog gear and the levels matching perfectly. By nature, the thing that we love about analog gear is sort of also the thing that kind of makes it wild and crazy. So it might not be like scientifically perfectly matched levels wise. So I'll just really quickly bring the audio back in. I'll make sure that both sides of my peak volumes are hitting right at the same level and everything's totally balanced. And then that's kind of it. You've now baked in all of this awesome analog gear, all of these harmonics and the tube distortion and all the things we love. You've baked it in and you get to keep it now. So that's kind of it. I hope that you like this. I hope that you learned something. Try out the service. It's super awesome. It totally saved my butt. And until next time, I am Jay Moss. Adios.